thanks for coming in. You were not in Indianapolis earlier today. We saw each other on a Zoom call. When did you get in?
Ever how long it takes to get from the airport to here? That's what I think we landed like a little over an hour ago. So it worked out perfect. Whenever we started these talks about what you were doing here and the opportunity to come and be a part of this. I couldn't change my flight because of commitments that I had, but what I could do was get here as quickly as I possibly could through all the traffic around here, but I'm used to that. So glad to be here. So excited that this race, and Roger Penske didn't do this because of me, but I'm sure that he is glad that I won't be in his ear every time that I see him anymore about we had to move this back to the oval, because that's what it is about. The road course did, we had some great racing there, but these cars and these drivers need to be on the oval, and really looking forward to seeing how, as you were pointing out, how this next gen car performs. And Todd Parrot and I were just talking about that we think there's a lot of things that potentially are going to show us racing maybe like we didn't see with the other generations of car here over the years. Although we kind of liked how things went for a couple of years there anyway.
So, yeah, that's a great question, or a great comment, because we don't know how these cars will race. We've had 3 or 4 cars on the track in several tests, but we haven't had big groups. The nice thing about it is once we get out of this weekend, that'll be the opportunity to sit down with the teams and drivers and with NASCAR, and if we need to make some tweaks to continue to make the racing better. But the cars sound good, they look like proper race cars. It's really exciting to have them. And just watching them go around the racetrack here in the testing has been an awful lot of fun. But the track hadn't changed, right? And so there's difficulties in that track as a driver when you come here, and a lot of times you want to roll off the trailer ready to go.
Yeah, you want that, and I think the biggest thing that I look at, I think the car is going to perform, and I think one of the biggest reasons that I look at it as a driver, the lack of banking on a 2.5-mile racetrack, it's not conducive to stock cars that weigh 3,400 and 3,500 pounds to being able to run through the corners side by side on what used to be a very narrow tire for that type of car. Now this next gen car has a wider tire, so you've got a bigger footprint there. I think that's what's going to give these drivers the opportunity to get into the corners side by side racing, and then that's going to open up an opportunity. If you go through turns 2 and 4 side by side, then there's a guy that's sitting right behind you that's just licking his chops knowing that he's going to possibly pass both of you by making it 3 wide down the front straightaway or the back straightaway. Now how they work all of that out getting into turns 1 and 3, I don't know. That'll be up to them, and that'll be exciting for us to watch. But I tell people all the time, and I don't even remember the exact banking, 8, 10 degrees, 9, that's right in the middle. But I promise you, from the driver's seat, going almost 200 miles an hour as you approach turns 1 and 3, it looks like there is no banking whatsoever. And I tell people that if you find that 9 degrees of banking, then you're already in trouble. You're getting ready to hit the wall. That's where the 9 degrees of banking comes in. So fortunately, I didn't have many of those days here, and this should be an event that is going to be, I think, unlike a lot of others. And I think you were talking about how technical this track is. There are certain drivers that really fit that criteria when I look at the lineup, and I was looking at it on the plane a little bit more, just seeing who has done well on this type of racetrack, even though there's nothing like it. But there's a couple of names that come to mind, and I look forward to them being up there at front.
So you started a tradition that I think you thought was just your way of celebrating that has become synonymous with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But I think before we tell the story, we need to bring out your partner in crime in creating that. But Todd Parrot was your crew chief in 1996, and I know you guys were thinking about, if we win the Brickyard 400, we got to do something special. So I've heard the story from your side. I'm going to ask Todd to tell a story of how did the Kissing the Bricks come about.
Well, thank you, everybody in Indianapolis, and here for the Brickyard 400. The Brickyard 400, I must say. So excited to be here with my buddy and my best friend, and Doug, obviously, and everybody at IMS for having me here. But yeah, so the idea actually started in so we had a test, and I think someone was looking a while ago, September September was the actual test, and we were bad fast. I mean, you got Robert Yates, horsepower, Doug Yates, and those guys back at Roush Yates engines. But it was just Robert Yates engines back then. But you know, we studied all the data from every single. It was so cool because back in the day, you were able to go by where the Unical back then. You could go back there in their building and they had segment times, like every single quarter mile, everything. And like after every run, we went back there, we looked, we studied it, and we came back and we tuned on our race car. So we were at St. Elmo, me and DJ at St. Elmo. Yeah, y'all ever been there? Okay, yeah. You need to check it out because the shrimp cocktail is absolutely unbelievable. So, for anybody, the management or anything like that, I'd love to come this weekend. But anyhow, so me and DJ went to dinner and we talked about the test and this, what we wanted to do the next day. Because we still have one day left, and we talked about all that, and then at the end, I said, man, I'll tell you what, man, this place is so amazing, you know, because I was the car chief and setup guy for Rusty Wallace in 1994, and 95 when he finished second to Earnhardt. Okay, so I had a pretty good notebook from Rusty in the Miller Junior Draft car back then, and I told him, I said, man, when we win this race in a month, I got something really, really cool planned. He looked at me across the table, he goes, what are you talking about? I said, no, really, we're good. I've got something planned that nobody's ever thought of, and that's what we're going to do. After we won, I didn't tell him if we won. I said when we won. And obviously we won the big card in 1996 with an amazing race with our teammate Ernie Irvin. And like I said, there's a lot more to that story with me on the radio back then when we were running second and DJ was running him down. But we won the race, went to victory lane, did all those things, and I said, hey, remember our dinner about a month ago? And he looked at me and goes, yeah, St. Elmo, yeah. I said, come on, follow me. And we went down to the Yard of Bricks, and we turned our hats around. I get emotional, I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. And we turned the hats around backwards and kissed the Yard of Bricks. And still to this day, thank y'all. Look, yeah, that's cool. I don't even have one now. I've got a lot of pictures that I don't have actual photos. But you know, thanks to this man believing in me and telling Robert Yates that if I could get someone on to be my crew chief, starting in 1996 with the 88 car, we made history. You know, we won 96 and obviously in 1999. So yeah, so with a tradition that you watch every time you guys have a race, every time all you race fans go and visit the museum and they have tours, and all of you race fans have a chance to go out there and kiss the bricks, it gives me cold chills to know that me and him started that. So thank you guys, thank you Doug, thank you for everybody at IMS for having me here this weekend. And you know, I'm here for another reason, you know, tomorrow night. Okay, thank you.
So I will get to exactly where we're going to, because there's a young man on the backside I do want to introduce that Todd's helping, that's really cool for all of us locally. But so I've never heard his side of the story. I've heard you tell the story, and that's basically the story you tell. Have you heard him tell that story before and get that emotional?
Yeah, I have, and yeah, it is emotional for me. Crew chiefs don't forget many things, but we did have a night that it kind of, when we made the decision, we were at St. Elmo's whenever he first brought up something about we're going to do something special, and I'm like, yeah, and you know, we were a little too cocky maybe for ourselves, because this was a brand new team in 1996 at Robert Gates Racing. We hired a young man that had never been a crew chief before, and brought Todd on, and we went out and we won the Busch Clash and the Daytona 500 to start with, so we set our sights pretty high and the bar pretty high for us. So to think that we were going to come here and take one, but we did have a great test. But we were actually at Michigan. I was in his motorhome, and I'd been there probably for 2.5 hours, because we were not running well at Michigan, and that was a place that I love to race. And you just talked about winning races there, and we did win races there, but this particular time we were not good. And my family was in my motorhome, and they were wondering where I was. But finally, a little after midnight, when we finally decided on what we were going to change for Sunday morning, we changed our discussion to the Brickyard, because we had looked at some Brickyard notes as to what made us fast, and that's what some things that we incorporated into the next day. And then we got that discussion, and so the discussion was back and forth a little bit as to what exactly we were going to do and what we would add to it. And so it's just two good friends talking. An idea came up, and then we carried it. And he was right. In Victory Lane, I was having a great time. I wasn't even thinking about it. I forgot completely about it, because the end of the race was so special. When you're racing a teammate, and we only had a 2-car team at Robert Gates Racing, and I certainly could not move Ernie Irvin out of the way as a teammate. Robert Gates, we were in a position because we had kind of gapped the field, and it was between he and I, and fortunately I was able to pressure him enough to get him to slide up a little bit in turn 1, and then we went on. The rest is history. But it used to be the lift was a little different, that you drove up on in 96, and so they took the car and you're all around that, and I'm literally, we're doing our normal thing, and I'm just looking around in amazement that this has happened, because I never envisioned racing at the Brickyard 400. But I'll back up a little bit, but he did say that. But I'm going to back up to 95. He talked about he worked for Rusty. Earnhardt won. Rusty finished second. That's when we all had to run to our cars, because it looked like it was going to rain. We thought it was going to be rained out. We're all running to our cars. And anyway, had a great race. I actually ran those two down. I was driving the 28 car, but I couldn't get by Rusty to get a run at Earnhardt. Don't know if I could have passed him, because he makes that car about 25 feet wide, so it was going to be hard to do that. And but anyway, I always look back and think, things happen for a reason. If you don't believe it, I probably had the fastest car in 95 at the end of the race, but we wouldn't have been kissing the bricks, because I hadn't thought of that. So we just had to wait a year. Had to wait 365 days, and then we made it happen. But forever grateful to him, and it is the coolest thing in the world to see. Whatever event you have here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the winner goes and kisses the bricks with his people.
We even have a Kiss the Bricks tour of the museum, where people go out and get to kiss the bricks during the mini marathon. If you're running for a time, you got to be careful when you get to the bricks, because people stop to kiss the bricks, and that's all you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Todd and Dale, who started a tradition that we all love so much. But there you go. That's the trophy that the winner will get this year. But Todd's working this weekend. So we've got a NASCAR truck race at Raceway Park on Friday night. For those of you that don't have plans Friday night, watch Xfinity and Cup practice and head on out to Raceway Park. There's also an ARCA race there. So Todd is helping out a young local guy by the name of Zach Tinkle. I've known Zach for 5, 6, 7. That's been a long time. When Zach first started racing, he started sending me notes. And I said, man, just keep communicating with people. Build your network. And he has done an unbelievable job of connecting with people and watching him be successful on the racetrack and continue to move up. But Todd is his crew chief this weekend in an ARCA race. You've been doing a great job in your racing. You had a great opportunity with a guy who's going to have to, if you guys win, he's going to have to come up with something really creative for you guys to celebrate. So a little bit of pressure on him. But ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted you to see Zach. You see him around here. Let's hear it for a local kid. He's doing good, and he's getting mentored by a great guy in Todd. And with that, we're going to have some autograph sessions over here for these two guys to sign some autographs and get an autograph.